Judge, there's nothing before this court saying that the mother is harmful at all to this child. This is merely a brainwashing, alienation thing done by Mr. Brian Potter. Yesterday, some things came about, and we're concerned about the girl, and we think that an amicus would probably be beneficial in this case for her, and the parties would have to split that, of course. However, we think that based on her actions yesterday at school and some of the things that she said, that it would be best to have her own counsel so we can get to the bottom of it's our belief that Mr. Potter is telling her about the case and informing her about things that are untrue and kind of attempting to alienate her through brainwashing. And we just think that it would be best to have her an amicus to where we can get to the bottom of this and she has a legal voice. So,
okay. Well, and of course, if there is a need for an amicus, we're not going to be able to do anything today.
Yes, Judge, we're asking for a continuance to get that done. We think that would speed up we think that would help out with the court's decision and not waste the court's time by going through this multiple times. So,
okay, I tell you what, go back to your first issue. Now, I'll look at the docket control order, and I had thought that this was a final modification. So now if Mr. Potter has filed a jury fee, well then, I'm not sure of that. So I guess I'll ask Mr. Elick, have you paid a jury fee?
Yes, Your Honor, and
okay.
It's been paid, and we've had that conversation several times with the court that this today was going to be a hearing for temporary orders.
Okay.
That had been said 2 or 3 different times now with the court. And then when you're ready, I'd like to address the next issue. So we were prepared for the temporary orders hearing today. And then that's when you ordered the filing of exhibits and witness list, and you extended the time per Mr. Anderson's request to I want to say at least it was the
22nd.
Yes. Incidentally, we had Mr. Anderson filed late, out of date, several his exhibit list and some exhibits that I got Monday.
Judge, that's incorrect. I dropped that off on the 22nd at his office, and I called him, and he told me where to leave the USB. Everything was filed on the 22nd, and it was dropped off at Mr. Elick's office, and he knew about that because I gave it to his brother, Mr. Jamie Elick, was there whenever I went by and dropped it off.
Well, I tell you what, I have the exhibits here. We can talk about that in a minute, but let's go back to the amicus issue. I guess, Mr. Elick, what's your position on an amicus for Josephine?
I don't think one's needed. I hadn't seen the basis for it, but responding directly to what Mr. Anderson, there was a incident where the child was badly upset by the mother appearing at school yesterday, unannounced, demanding to see the child, and got the school people all up in the air. And then there was a confrontation with the school, Ms. Byler, and the acting lady I understand to be the principal. She may have a different title. They about Ms. Warkovy to see this child, take her out of class, and there was a difficult time between the child and the mother, where our position is, and the child will like the child to testify. This is a case where the child was going to be interviewed, both children, by the court, and the child is Josephine, age 14. She's a freshman, and she's actually asked me to seek protection of the court to keep her mother from doing that, upsetting her. And child had to go home, got very upset with Ms. Workovi's confrontation with her. And I'll leave it for the child to tell you what happened. Basically, the Ms. Workovi was not wanting the child to testify or to change her testimony, or to perhaps not cover up some things. But I'd leave it for the child to, when the court interviews the child. Really think that you had talked, Your Honor, if we proceed on this matter, of having the child appear last. And these children are staying not in school today, on standby. And I would say the child asked for the child to be interviewed right from the start by the court, both children.
Okay. And I know when we talked about that, a lot of times, I like to talk to the kids last, so I have some context of things. Now, if there's going to be a big issue about whether or not we need an amicus, it may be better that I talk to her, and then we can talk about that issue again.
Judge, if you'll remember, when we talked about when to have the kids come talk to you, Mr. Elick was the one that wanted them to talk last because he wanted to put on evidence first. And now he's changing his tune. I mean, this, and she is, Miss Warkovi was not over there trying to influence anybody. She hadn't seen her kids in 3 weeks. Mr. Elick's client continually keeps these kids from her and doesn't let her have her visitation. She goes to pick the kids up and he's not there. That's why, Judge, we feel that we need to pass on this hearing today, and we need to get a amicus involved and let them filter out what's really going on here, because Mr. Elick has one side and mine is on the other side, and they're complete opposites. Nothing is aligning here, and we need to have an amicus who can talk to this child without Mr. Potter's influence, because that's what's happening here. It's just unreal how much influence they're putting on this little girl, and she hasn't even seen her mom in 3 weeks. So it's not her mom that's doing it, and we'd like an amicus to figure it out, not Mr. Potter and his counsel.
And what's I'd have to go back and look at the let somebody else in here. Look at the schedule. What's the next time that Ms. Warkovi has possession?
This week. And we would ask that the court instruct Mr. Potter to turn the children over as instructed in the decree.
And what is said I'd have to go back and look. I have the file here, but I have to dig through it. When is her period where she would have possession?
Let's see.
She would be
flipping to it.
And Your Honor, this child, Josephine, is 14, and the boy, Luke, he's a senior at both of them at Faith Academy, but he's a senior. I think he'll be 18 in March. So in connection with possession, Your Honor, we're aware of the court possession order is the controlling document if there's not a mutual agreement. There's been for a long time, these children and they have pretty much set their schedule as to being with their parents to harmonize with their school activities, their schooling and the like. And so these children are available now. They're out of school, and they're Luke, the senior, the son, can drive, borrowed a car so he can drive himself and Josephine to the court for the interview.
Okay.
If you want to.
I'm looking at the decree. It looks like it's on page 11
Yes, sir, Judge.
that Ms. Warkovi looks like first, third, and fifth.
And Thursday overnight, Judge. So she would start Thursday.
That's tomorrow then, right?
Yes, Judge.
And Your Honor, is the court entertaining interviewing in connection with possession? This child is Josephine wants protection about she's scared of her mother. So that's my position. That's what we're just suggesting. It'd be for the court to interview and see if what you hear and what you think.
Judge, there's nothing before this court saying that the mother is harmful at all to this child. This is merely a brainwashing, alienation thing done by Mr. Brian Potter. And that's why we're asking this court to grant a continuance on this thing, or we'll pass it and go and get an amicus. We need an amicus in this. Truly, it's only going to aid the court, and it's not going to harm any of these parties. It's beneficial and in the best interest of Josephine to have an amicus and be her voice. I don't think it's fair that Mr. Elick is Josephine's voice here when he's also the voice of Mr. Potter. That shouldn't be allowed for him to be both voices and both an attorney for both.
Okay. Well, and if, like I said, if we're having a jury for the final anyway, I'm wondering what temporarily we could put in place, because it may be a while before we can get a jury. I mean, it could almost be the fall.
And Judge, that's why we would ask that we postpone this temporary hearing until we have an amicus, and then we can get a new temporary date after the amicus has more than enough time to interview the child, see the conditions on both sides, and get caught up in the case. Then we can come back and have a temporary if there's going to be a jury trial that's going to take too long. But I just don't think it's beneficial to do it right now.
Okay. Why don't, if both kids are out of school, why don't I try to talk to the kids this morning and get a little feel for what's going on, and then we may have to get back together and find out, are there some temporary orders, some temporary fixes that we can put in place until we can get to a final.
That's what we would like. And like Luke actually stayed, thinking this was going forward, and be available. He stayed home and is available to bring himself and his sister to the courthouse. I think the court said you would interview him in chambers.
Yeah. I'll interview him separately. But okay, well, could somebody?
Judge, can I say something real quick?
Go ahead.
I mean, my only issue with this is that there's been outrageous amounts of alienation done. Mr. Elick knew that the kids were supposed to come on Friday at the end of this deal. However, miraculously, yesterday, this little girl is accusing her mom of having an abortion, when the only way that that would have even been implanted in her head is through her father. She's never had an abortion. And now all of a sudden the kids stay at home because they thought they were coming this morning when Mr. Elick knew. And I think Mr. Potter works for Mr. Elick or something like that. They do this mounted shooting together. And it's kind of convenient that this is all happening, that they stayed home from school and the stuff yesterday, which is why we think an amicus needs to be brought in, and we'd ask that the court order an amicus and both parties pay half, and that the interview has no bearing as to any kind of temporary custody right now, because this little girl has been immensely brainwashed and threatened by her father.
Well, I guess what I want to find out if Josephine, I mean, I realize Luke is 17, but Josephine's 14, is supposed to go and tomorrow and spend Thursday, Friday, Saturday night with her mother. And want to find out what's going on, because that should happen. I mean, at least Josephine should go with her mother for the regular visitation, and then it would be the next weekend too. You know, the next Friday, Saturday. So let me get some sense if we can get back on track, or what's preventing the visitation, since Mr. Anderson, you said your client hasn't seen the kids in 3 weeks.
4 weeks.
4 weeks will be today. And it's this whole mounted shooting that Mr. Potter has put together and is the coach on, and seems to schedule during every time she has a weekend, which is unexcusable. I mean, this is an extracurricular that they don't have to be in. It's not school related, and they don't need to go to it if it's their mom's time. It's Mr. Potter continually trying to eradicate Ms. Warkovy out of these kids' lives. And I think Josephine will even tell you that they have mounted shooting on the weekends and practice on Thursdays. And it's because he sets it that way to where she can't have time with her kids. And we think that's unexcusable.
Well, even if we had an amicus, is not going to be able to do anything for the visitation this weekend or next weekend.
No, I understand. For future, I think it would be good.
That's kind of the temporary thing that I think needs to get addressed as soon as possible.
Yes. So, do I have authority then to have somebody call Luke to bring the children forthwith to the courtroom?
Yeah, I'd like to talk to the kids this morning, and then they can get back to school, and then I guess everybody else just kind of stand by a little bit, and then we can reconvene here maybe in about an hour.
All right.
Judge, the only request we would have is that Mr. Potter not be allowed to contact the kids, that it be somebody else. I mean, because we feel like if he gets on the phone with them, there will be influencing going on right before they come talk to you. So we would ask that none of that happen. So if Mr. Elick can have Ms. Mosley call them, that would be better than Mr. Potter.
I call them right now, but the court listening.
Okay, could Miss Mosley, just, if you have the phone number there, just call Luke and say for Luke and Josephine to come up to the courthouse.
Let's do it right now. Here, if you got your phone handy. What's their number? Okay. Yeah, call them right now while the court can listen.
I mean, it sounds like Mr. Potter's right there. He's not in the camera view where we can see that. He seems to be over with Mr. Elick, but
sure. My client, I have in my office.
I mean, we can't see him in the frame where he has his camera. So if he
stood up.
He could come into frame, that would be great.
I really don't need to see Miss Warkovy, but is she likewise going to be?
She's right here.
Is that Luke's? Does he have a cell phone, or is that a house phone? What is it? Do we know?
Cell phone.
A cell phone? Why don't we just stand by and plan on getting back together about 10:30? All right.
Thank you, Judge.
Okay, thank you. Spoke with both kids, and I think what I want to do is, kind of hold off on the issue of the amicus for a little bit and see, maybe revisit this in a couple weeks, and then in the intervening weeks, set up a time where, Miss Warkovy and the two kids, Luke and Josephine, can maybe meet for, lunch or something like that, and try to start some communication, but definitely not going to proceed with the temporary today, but that'll just stay pending. So let me ask, I guess, to Mr. Potter, since I understand that, Luke's truck was either totaled in a wreck a while ago. He drove up here today. Is he going to have access to a vehicle on a Saturday? if he needed to get to have lunch.
Yes, Your Honor.
Judge, it appears that Mr. Elick and Mr. Potter are all in the same room. If they could move out of the room, there wouldn't be all this echo that we're experiencing.
Yeah, I'll put Mr. Potter on mute here, so to prevent the echo. So, okay, so then what I'm going to do is this Saturday is the 30th. This Saturday is the 30th, and I mean, I think as far as the attorneys know, that there's going to be, I don't think it's going to be beneficial to have the weekend possession time here for the next couple of weeks until we kind of move off where people are right now. I think the incident at the school on yesterday at Faith Academy that's a big setback. So we're gonna have to repair a little bit of that damage to start, working back toward a normal relationship. So we'll have this Saturday, January 30th at noon. Have the three of them, Miss Wachovy and Luke and Josephine meet at Tony's Restaurant in Sealy at noon. And then the following Saturday, which would be her normal time, just do the same thing on February 6th. Just the three of them. So, won't have Mr. Potter there, and, not have, John Mounts there either. And then let's get a couple of those out of the way and see if the communication is improving to the point that at some point we may need to have an amicus.
May I ask something, Your Honor?
Sure.
On the Saturday, the January 7th, 30th, excuse me, that's the first one you mentioned?
That's this weekend, this Saturday.
Yeah, Saturday, January 30th. Would the court there's a family funeral, a family member died and there's funeral on Saturday. Can we do it Sunday?
Where and what time is the funeral?
It's in Gonzales.
Who's the family member?
It's Greg Patley.
Greg Pabley. He's the brother to Margot that is considered their.
See, this is crazy. Now we're doing brothers of somebody who's considered a family member. He's not really a family member. He's just some friend, supposedly. But this mom hasn't had visitation in 4 weeks. I mean,
I think what I said is instead of Saturday, could we do it Sunday? Instead of Saturday, could it be Sunday?
And I know the kids had, both of them had an interest in, talk about, being in church and doing that on Sunday. So what's the church schedule with the kids on Sunday?
We'd be able to meet anytime.
Anytime after 1. They got there.
now Judge, this seems to be making a lot of accommodations for Mr. Potter and now the church and everything. I mean, my client, this is the problem that we've had this whole time is all that seems to matter to Mr. Potter, and that is his schedule and planning things to interrupt her schedule. Nowhere in any of the code would she be circumvented from seeing her kids on a Sunday. I don't care what church they go to with their dad. She would have them on first, third, and fifth Sunday and could take them to any other church she wanted to. Now they're trying to just reinvent the wheel, so to speak, by having it, it doesn't work on noon because they have this and that. This has been the problem the whole time, Judge.
Well, and again, what I'm trying to do is take this first step on getting back to somewhat normalcy.
No, and that's why I think the Saturday should be the Saturday. It's not some immediate family member. It should be Saturday at noon on both of these days. The other thing we'd ask, though, Judge, is that she have some electronic communication that's uninterrupted by Mr. Potter. That's not where he's not even in the room, so that when the kids are with him, that Miss Warkovy can have some electronic communication, FaceTime or whatever it may be, but that he not be in the room interfering, recording, anything.
May I speak, Your Honor?
Yes.
Luke is a pallbearer, so just consider if, as Mr. Anderson insists, that the mother, he's a pallbearer in that funeral on Saturday. So if
You're saying Luke is?
Luke is. So if he attends with his mother, he will. If that's
Okay.
then he'll be won't serve as a pallbearer.
Okay. What's Miss Wakovi's weekend work schedule?
She's available all weekend.
So she doesn't work Saturdays or Sundays?
She can make herself available.
Okay, so on Sunday now, what time does church get out on Sunday?
Judge, may I interject real quick about this church issue? Because they go to the Catholic Church here in Belleville, and
Actually, it's the one.
Catholic Church, or in Chapel Hill, the Catholic Church has mass on Saturday night here in Belleville, if they want to go to that. And it starts, they have an 8 o'clock service, I think, in Industry, 9 o'clock, I believe, is in Belleville. This whole thing about being 1 o'clock is ridiculous. I was a member of the Catholic Church here, and I never got out at 1 o'clock.
Luke's, they attend Saint Stanislaus Catholic Church in Chapel Hill, and Luke serves as I call them altar boys. I don't really call them that. Server regularly, and Josephine in the choir. Once again, we're at the court's what's best, what the court can best decide for the children.
Okay. Well, is there, what are the service times?
They'll be out of church. They'll be out of church is from 9 to 10, and then they have catechism, and that they released at 11:30.
And he teaches her catechism, and she's the only one in the class, so he can teach her catechism anytime.
I don't know where Mr. Anderson gets his information. I haven't seen him at church there, but that's not true what he's.
I guess we need to file a recusal if Mr. Elick's going to be a witness. Maybe we need to file a recusal of Mr. Elick because he's maybe a potential witness.
Okay, well, so for this we'll do it this Sunday then, January 31st, and have 1 o'clock at Tony's Restaurant, and then the following Saturday, so Saturday the 6th. And I'll send out an order to both sides. And so again, just the three of them. And when they're at having lunch at Tony's, let's have people just leave, cell phones and everything like that in the car. Don't take those in to the restaurants. But then there should be no restriction on the kids texting with their mother. They've, at least, and Josephine has indicated for starters, her preferable way to communicate is with text. So let's start off here for the next couple of weeks with texting.
On that Saturday, February 6th, commencing at 1 o'clock, or that one is at noon?
That will be at noon on Saturday, February 6th at noon, and Sunday, January 31st at 1 o'clock.
Right.
And for the first week, she can there's text communication, and then we can go to FaceTime communication, or
I mean, that's what I'm hoping, that things will advance to where we'll do that. But for now, let's just have, again, there's nothing preventing phone calls, but if Josephine wants to text, then let's have Ms. Wachovy respond with texts. They'll be able to. They'll talk face to face when they're at the luncheon.
well, can you admonish both parties not to interfere with the kids? Admonish them to not influence the kids to not contact their mother, because feel that that's taking place. And so we would just like the court to admonish them on that.
Sure. Part of that'll be not to influence the children, not to communicate with their parents, and also for now, have nobody go up to school either. No school visits until we can revisit this.
That doesn't include the senior dinner that's coming up, correct?
That's why the Faith Academy event, that's the 13th. So that's beyond what we're talking about.
There's a senior night tomorrow night at Faith Academy with the basketball game.
Okay. If Ms. Wachovy wants to go to the basketball game, that's fine.
Okay.
All right. So like I said, I'll send out an email to everybody, but let's try to get through a couple weeks and see how that went, and then we'll revisit the idea of an amicus.
Okay. And Judge, after these couple weeks go by, we're going to be asking the court to open up the discovery again, so that we can get text messages and stuff from Josephine's phones and Luke's phones, to where we can see kind of what's going on. If there's good communication going on or not, and why that's happening. So.
Well, so we're probably not going to have a jury trial till the fall. So if there needs to be more discovery, we can do that.
Thank you, Judge.
All right. So like I said, I'll get an email out to everybody, but that'll be it for today. And I had Luke's class had a field trip today, which unfortunately he missed the field trip. So I just told them they can just go home for the rest of the day. But Josephine has some tests tomorrow, so she's going to be back in class tomorrow and taking her tests. All right.
May we be excused?
You may. Thank you.
Thank you.